Imagine, for a moment, the roar of the crowd in the Colosseum, a sound that echoes not with glory, but with the clanking of chains. This is the world of Spartacus. He wasn't born a gladiator. He was a Thracian soldier, a free man forced into bondage, sold to fight for the entertainment of Rome. In the heart of Capua, within the Ludus of Lentulus Batiatus, Spartacus learned the brutal art of combat. But every swing of his sword, every parry of his shield, was fueled by a single, burning desire: freedom. The life of a gladiator was one of relentless discipline and unspeakable cruelty. They were property, their lives worth less than the sand on the arena floor. Yet, even in this pit of despair, a spark of defiance flickered. Spartacus saw beyond the blood and the cheers. He saw shared humanity in the eyes of his fellow gladiators, men like Crixus the Gaul and Oenomaus, and in that shared gaze, he found the embers of rebellion. The plan was audacious, almost suicidal: to break free from a fortress designed to contain the most dangerous men in the Republic. The opportunity came in the form of kitchen knives and meat cleavers. In 73 BC, a small group of about 70 gladiators, led by Spartacus, overwhelmed their guards. They fought their way out of the Ludus, not with the polished weapons of the arena, but with the crude tools of the kitchen. It was a desperate, bloody scramble for the one thing they valued more than life itself: liberty. Once free, the fugitives fled to the slopes of Mount Vesuvius. The news of their escape spread like wildfire. Slaves from nearby plantations, shepherds, and the dispossessed of the Italian countryside flocked to their banner. What began as a desperate breakout was transforming into a genuine army of the oppressed. Rome, ever arrogant, initially dismissed the uprising as a minor annoyance. They sent a praetor, Gaius Claudius Glaber, with a hastily assembled militia of 3,000 men. Glaber, confident in his superiority, didn't even bother to build a fortified camp. He simply blocked the only known path down the mountain, intending to starve the rebels into submission. This was his first mistake. Spartacus was more than just a brute fighter. He was a brilliant strategist. He saw what the Romans didn't. A way down, under the cover of darkness, his men gathered wild vines and wove them into long, sturdy ladders. They rappelled down the sheer, unguarded cliffs on the other side of Vesuvius. The Romans awoke to chaos. The escaped gladiators fell upon their camp from behind. A surprise attack that was swift and devastating. Glaber's militia was routed. The slaves, now armed with captured Roman weapons and armor, had won their first major victory. The legend of Spartacus was beginning to take shape. The victory over Glaber sent shockwaves through the Senate. This was no longer a simple slave revolt. It was a full-blown war. Rome dispatched to more legions under the command of the praetors Verinius and Cursinius. Spartacus and his growing army, now numbering in the tens of thousands, were no longer just running. They were fighting, and they were winning. They outmaneuvered the Roman patrols, using guerrilla tactics and their intimate knowledge of the terrain. They struck hard and fast, then vanished into the hills. The rebel army marched south, their numbers swelling with every victory. They were a mobile nation of the freed, a rolling tide of rebellion washing over the Italian peninsula. They sacked towns, gathered supplies, and continued to train their forces. Crixus, a powerful warrior in his own right, led a contingent with a fierce desire for plunder and revenge against the Roman elite. While their goals sometimes diverged, their shared enemy kept them united. For a time, it seemed as if they were unstoppable. They defeated legion after legion sent against them, humbling the pride of the world's greatest military power. Spartacus's objective became clear. He didn't want to conquer Rome. He wanted to lead his people out of Italy, over the Alps, and back to their homelands, back to freedom. The climax of this incredible struggle was not a single battle, but a series of brutal, large-scale confrontations. After 2 years of fighting and humiliating defeats, Rome finally understood the gravity of the threat. The Senate turned to one of its wealthiest and most ruthless citizens, Marcus Licinius Crassus. He was given command of 8 legions, over 40,000 highly trained, disciplined soldiers, and a singular mandate: crush the rebellion at any cost. Crassus was a methodical and cruel commander. When one of his legions broke and fled in battle, he revived the ancient and brutal practice of decimation, where 1 in every 10 soldiers of the disgraced unit was executed by his own comrades. Fear, he believed, was the ultimate tool of discipline. The war entered a new, more brutal phase. Spartacus led his people south again, hoping to cross the sea to Sicily. But the pirates he hired to transport his army betrayed him, taking his payment and sailing away. He was trapped. Crassus saw his chance. He cornered the rebel army in the toe of Italy, building a massive wall of earth and stone, a ditch nearly 50 kilometers long, stretching from coast to coast. His plan was the same as Glaber's, but on an epic scale, to starve them into submission. But once again, Spartacus would not be so easily caged. On a single, stormy winter night, his army performed another miracle of engineering and will. They filled a section of the ditch with earth, wood, and the bodies of their own fallen comrades and animals. Under the cover of the blizzard, a significant portion of the rebel army broke through Crassus's line and escaped the trap. It was a testament to their incredible resolve, but it was also the beginning of the end. The rebel army was fractured. A large contingent under Gannicus and Castus broke away, only to be cornered and annihilated by Crassus. The long war, the constant running, and the dwindling supplies had taken their toll. Spartacus, knowing the end was near, turned to face his pursuers for one final, desperate battle. The final confrontation took place in 71 BC, somewhere in southern Italy. The historian Appian tells us that Spartacus, before the battle, killed his own horse, declaring that if he won, he would have many better horses from the enemy, and if he lost, he would not need one. He was committing himself and his army to a fight to the death. The battle was a maelstrom of violence. The ex-slaves fought with a ferocity born of desperation, but they were outnumbered and outmatched by Crassus's legions. Spartacus himself fought his way through the ranks, trying to reach Crassus. A single point of focus in the chaos, he cut down to centurions in his path, but was ultimately surrounded and overwhelmed. He fell, fighting to his last breath. With their leader gone, the rebel army collapsed. Thousands were cut down in the battle and the rout that followed. The aftermath was a grim spectacle of Roman vengeance. Crassus, determined to make an example that would echo through history, took 6,000 survivors. He had them crucified. Their bodies were lined up along the Appian Way, the main road leading into Rome, a gruesome 200-kilometer-long monument to a failed rebellion. The message was clear. This is the fate of those who defy the power of Rome. So, did Spartacus fail? In the short term, yes. The rebellion was crushed, and Roman slavery continued for centuries. But the story of Spartacus did not end on that bloody road. His name became a whisper, a legend, a symbol that could never be truly extinguished. He proved that even the most oppressed people could rise up, that the desire for freedom is a force more powerful than any legion. His story has inspired revolutionaries, artists, and thinkers for 2,000 years. He remains a timeless icon of the eternal struggle against tyranny, a testament to the idea that it is better to die a free man fighting than to live as a slave. The man was killed, but the symbol he created, the symbol of Spartacus, became immortal. Thank you for joining us on this journey back to ancient Rome. If you found this story as powerful as we do, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more epic tales from history. Let us know in the comments what other historical figures you'd like to see us cover. Until next time, stay curious.